Hey folks, I'm gearing up to do a 3,500 mile trip through the middle of the United States, and I figured I'd put together a video covering some of the different tips I've kind of discovered during my past 20,000 miles of motorcycle trips that I'd like to share with you guys. It really helps maximize your enjoyment when you're on longer trips. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about enjoying the trip that you're on. I used to think it was more about, miles or bragging rights or, how many can you cover in a day or, just getting the picture or whatever. But it's, we're out there riding because we love it. So these are some tips to maximize your enjoyment. I divide it into two main categories because it's basically about avoiding mental fatigue and physical fatigue. So physical fatigue, make sure you have a comfortable seat. You definitely want it to be firm, believe it or not, because over time, if you have too soft of a seat, your ass will sink into it and then your back starts hurting. So you want a firm seat that won't give way. Potentially look into a backrest. I have a KLR650, so what I do for longer trips is actually just, I have my camping gear strapped on the back, and that acts as a great backrest. It really gives your back a break. You also want comfortable handlebars. So if you're on a sport bike leaning over, that will probably get uncomfortable pretty quick. On my KLR, I have handlebar risers, which bring the handlebars back a little bit. That makes it a lot more comfortable. Also, comfortable pegs. So I have dual sport pegs on my bike. I haven't found that those really affect comfort much, but you might want to consider highway pegs if your bike can accommodate them. Or if you have rear sets, those can also get uncomfortable over time. Finally, as far as wind blast. So you might want to have a small windshield, just something to deflect the wind off your chest. Most riders like to have wind on their face, though. That's part of the experience of riding for me. But some people like to have a full-on windscreen fairing, and that deflects all the wind. But make sure whatever it is, it's sustainable whenever you're trying to crush the miles. As far as mental, this is one that I've been working on lately to really cut down on mental fatigue. So one of the major ones is wind noise. So you don't really realize it, but having wind blasting in your ears for hours at a time, days on end, really grinds on your brain and is a huge source of fatigue. So I use reusable earplugs so you can clean them. There's also the disposable foam ones, 1 or 2 times use out of those. But I like the reusable ones. They store in a little plastic case. Another thing you should consider is the sun. So obviously you don't want to be riding into the sun without either sunglasses or a tinted shield. Having to squint really cuts down on your enjoyment and fatigues your face muscles when you're doing it for hours on end. Another tip for cutting down on mental fatigue. Boredom is another source of mental fatigue. If you're doing a long stretch of highway or, just all straight roads, not much interesting riding, I like to use podcasts or music, or it might even be worth reconsidering your route. If you have to do a long stretch of highway or interstate, look at riding more interesting roads. After all, it's about the ride. Overall, consider pulling over more often. My tank, I can get about 300 miles out of it before I have to pull over, but I'm pulling over every, at least, 150 or 200 miles, usually more frequently than that, even just to either take photos, stretch my legs, have a snack, take photos, really just to get the most enjoyment I can out of that ride. So yeah, these were just some tips I wanted to share that I've been thinking as I start planning for my 3,500 mile trip. Thank you.